Hi, everyone, and welcome to the ATLY Mining live corporate webinar. This is Paul Amputis from RBMG. ATLY Mining is traded on the TSXV under symbol ATLY, on the OTC under symbol ATLYF, and on the Frankfurt Exchange under symbol TSGA. Joining us today is Ralph Shearing, President and CEO. We'll go through ATLY's July presentation, which is on the website, including the 2Q production update on Campo Morado and upcoming milestones. At the end of the presentation, we will open it up for questions for Ralph to address. If you are interested in asking a question and are logged into the Zoom, you can submit your questions to us directly in the Q&A or chat mode. Please note, this presentation is being recorded today, Tuesday, July 27th, and will soon be made available on the company's website, ATLYmining.com. Today's call may contain forward-looking statements that are subject to risks and uncertainties that may cause actual results, performance, or developments to differ materially from those contained in the statements and are not guarantees of future performance of the company. No assurance can be given that any of the events anticipated by the forward-looking statements will occur, or if they do occur, what the benefits the company will obtain from them. Also, some risks and uncertainties may be out of the control of the company. ATLY's full disclaimer is available on slide 2 of this presentation. Lastly, RBMG is not a registered investment advisor, broker-dealer. For more information, please visit us at rbmilestone.com. It is now our pleasure to introduce you to Ralph Shearing. Ralph.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you and welcome everybody to ATLY Mining Corporation's presentation. I'm the president and CEO of the company and have been helping guide the company along, and we've been having some great success, and I hope to share what we've been doing and where we expect to go, and hope that we can convince you to become shareholders. Forward-looking statements, Paul has already mentioned those, so we do have forward-looking statements throughout the presentation, just be aware. And our first real slide shows you the location of our project. So we have two projects. We have our flagship TAHUEHUETO project, which is a gold mine under construction currently up in the state of Durango. Down in the state of Guerrero, we have Campo Morado, which is a zinc mine in production, currently in commercial production. We're fully financed for growth and low-cost expansion possibilities. We're optimizing mine plans at our Campo Morado as well as TAHUEHUETO for when that starts production. Near mine resource growth, so we expect with exploration to be able to increase our reserves and resources at both projects, and they're both district scale projects. Both our projects are owned 100% by the company in subsidiaries. TAHUEHUETO project is in construction. We're building a 1,000 ton a day mining operation. It's approximately 65% complete right now, and construction is ongoing at this point in time. Our proven and probable reserves contain 613,000 ounces of gold equivalent at a high grade of 5.84 grams per ton gold equivalent. That's all metals. And our M&I resources contain 955,000 ounces of gold equivalent at 4.86 grams gold equivalent. We expect to be producing around 42,000 ounces of gold equivalent resources every year at a production cost, all-in sustaining cost of around $800 per ounce gold equivalent. The current life of mine plan is 9 years. However, there's potential 20 years based on M&I resources, and we expect to upgrade those very quickly and allow potential expansion of the project from above the 1,000 ton per day underground mining operation we're currently building. Campo Morado, 6th largest zinc producer in Mexico at this point in time. It's an underground mining operation with producing around 2,000 tons per day. M&I resources contain a lot of zinc, a lot of other metals, 5.1 billion pounds of zinc equivalent at a high grade of 14.15 zinc equivalent grade. It's important to note that metallurgy is a bit tricky at Campo Morado, so although this is a very high grade contained metal, our recoveries don't get us that much metal. I'll touch on that throughout the presentation as we get into Campo Morado. Currently, we're producing around 30 million pounds of payable zinc per year. And in Q2 2021, our C1 cash cost or project cost were 70 cents per pound of zinc produced, and all-in sustaining cost of about 90 cents a pound per zinc produced. Our current mine plan shows about 7 years in the plan. We have over 20 years of potential mine life based on measured and indicated resources. Next slide. So our highlights, why we believe we're an excellent purchase for an investment at this point in time. Our company's generating stable and growing cash flow. We're about $2.2 million in monthly EBITDA over the beginning of 2021. We have a pathway to expand production at Campo Morado from 2,000 to 3,000 tons per day with a new flotation circuit that's 80% complete. I'll talk more about that in a few more slides. We're exploring improvements in metallurgical recoveries. We're putting a full court press on metallurgical testing and have actually started up a pilot plant to test and try to improve our recoveries. There's been some technology that's been tested in the past on the project that has increased precious metal recoveries, gold by 400% and silver by 200%. We hope to achieve that with this metallurgical testing program that is underway. We also have a pathway that could double our resources and justify an expansion of the mine in a doubling of its size, and that would take exploration success. TAHUEHUETO is a fully funded near production situation. We finalized a $25 million funding over the last little while. Construction is around 60 to 65% complete now. Initial production is expected near the end of 2021. We expect to produce 42,000 ounces of gold equivalent over the first 5 years at $808 all-in sustaining cost. Current life of mine, 9 years, large resource base gives us a potential 20-year mine life. And as I say, we have a pathway to increase those reserves with exploration, and exploration success should come very easily. That once TAHUEHUETO is in production, we should get a re-rating as a high growth precious metal producer. By TAHUEHUETO coming on stream, we expect to really double our metal sales and EBITDA. We expect precious metals to be up to 60% of our net revenue by the mid-2022 into 2023. We're currently trading at 2.7 times EBITDA or enterprise value over EBITDA, which is 75% below other Mexican metals producers. So we believe we've got a lot of room for growth as our projects mature. And we've recently strengthened our management team with a substantially stronger management team, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a second here. So we're increasing precious metal production, as I mentioned. Our revenue growth is looking to increase substantially in 2022, up to 97 million. We're currently around the $51 million revenue at this point in time. If you look at the metals, come 2022, once TAHUEHUETO goes into production, you will notice that our gold and silver production will be substantially the majority of our revenues. So that's where the re-rating of us from a base metal producer now into a precious metal producer. This is our production profile at the moment. Moving on to our board of directors. So as I mentioned, we've recently strengthened the management team. I'm the CEO and president of the company. I'm a professional exploration geologist. I have 35 years experience in exploration and development, and I have over 30 years experience in managing public companies. David Rhodes has come in as an independent director and is a chairman of the company. David is part of Endeavour Financial out of the UK, and Endeavour Financial has raised billions of dollars for the mining industry and has been helping us. We have his team helping us with the company and making decisions in the company, how to move forward and fund. Mark Bailey recently joined us as an independent director. Mark has a long history of exploration and development successfully in Mexico and has been a great addition to the team, as has Tom Kelly, a mining engineer with over 35 years, 40 years of experience in mining, underground mining primarily. Tom was in Mexico with me several weeks ago visiting the projects, and has been a great help to us. Natasha Kernan is a lawyer. She's got a very good track record. In fact, she was named one of the top 40 under 40 legal lawyers in New York several years ago. So she's on our team helping us with our legal work as well as corporate governance. And Roberto Guzman is an independent director and a controlling shareholder of the company. He reports as a control person. He is in the financial sector of Mexico. It's over 28 years of experience in the financial sector of Mexico. Ruben Alvidrez, independent director. Ruben is a member of a very strong mining family in Mexico. His brother is the CEO of Fresnillo, and his father is retired now, but was one of the senior members of Peñoles. So Ruben has been a good help to us in tapping into contacts through his family. Omar Garcia is our CFO, over 20 years of experience in mining in Mexico and lives in Canada. And then recently we've added Armando Alexandri as the Chief Operating Officer, and Armando has 40 years of experience in Mexico, has built successfully several mines, and is now helping us get TAHUEHUETO into production and overseeing production at Campo Morado. Moving to our next slide, I'll talk now a little bit about our flagship TAHUEHUETO mine. This is the one that's in construction. We expect initial production near the end of 2021, ramping up to full production in early 2022. This mine is set to be one of the 4 top highest grade gold mines once it comes into production. Not the most gold, but one of the higher grade operations in the country. So a summary of TAHUEHUETO resources and reserves. We have 3.2 million tons of reserves at 3.4 grams per ton gold, 41 silver, plus base metals. M&I resources, 6.1 million tons. That includes the reserves at 2.48 grams per ton gold, 42 silver, and base metals. The reserves give us currently a 9-year life of mine plan. And with the resources, we could extend that up to 20 years by increasing the confidence in the resources up to reserves. So a little bit of drilling, infill drilling, should take us a long way to get there. Producing 42,000 ounces of gold equivalent annually at an $808 all-in sustaining cost per gold equivalent ounce. We have about $11 million left to spend in our capital expenditures at TAHUEHUETO to realize production, and we have an NPV currently of about $109 million. We will be publishing a new PFS over the next couple of months. That's a pre-feasibility study. These numbers might change. We expect them to improve with this new pre-feasibility study because we have much higher metal prices now than we did when the original PFS was done in 2017. Let's move to the next slide. This is a production profile for TAHUEHUETO, all-in sustaining cost line through here. Production is dropping off a little bit in the last couple of years, but I have no doubt that we'll increase and maintain this style of production at 1,000 tons per day, or even potentially increase that by expanding the mine as we move on through these first couple of years. Our revenue breakdown at TAHUEHUETO will have about 81% of revenue from precious metals, 69% gold, 12% silver, the rest zinc and lead. A few years down the road, we will produce a bit of copper from the project as well. This is our construction budget, development at the mine. So it's underground development is 90% complete, mill construction 60 to 65%. We resumed construction several months ago when we closed a $10.8 million financing, and we just recently announced the closing of the last part of that financing to complete up to $25 million. We're targeting production towards late Q4 2021 with 1 ball mill and ramping up with a 2nd ball mill early 2022. We expect to be in full production in Q1, Q2 2022. These are a few photos of the project. So this is current photos of the mill going together. We've got the roofing on, the equipment is already installed inside. Ball mills will be put in place over on the right-hand side here. Just the camp, etc. Just give you a bit of a feel for what's going on in the project. And the next slide is a timeline. So this timeline shows you we're right in this area now. So we've completed our funding. We've closed our silver stream. We've closed the Ascendo Banco loan. So all of our funding is now in place for the project. First ball mill should come on stream in December. That's what we're targeting, ramping up with the second ball mill in Q2 2022. Probably Q2, sometime late Q2, we should reach commercial production. Now let's talk a little bit about the future of TAHUEHUETO. This is a well-mineralized district scale project. So we control about 83% of the district. The district is around 12 kilometers long by 8 kilometers wide as we know it today. Our concessions are outlined in blue. The only structures that we've actually drilled on are these red structures. This through-growing major structure comes up through here. We weren't able to drill here. We got it drilled down on this side of it. It actually goes all the way down into the river. That's about a 3.4 kilometer distance from the river here to the Cinco de Mayo zone. And as I mentioned, we've only drilled along these red structures. All of these other yellow lines represent structures on surface that we know are there. We need to continue to explore those. We did test Texcalama with 6 holes only just to see what we had. And we have similar type of mineralization along this structure where we drilled as we find in our major structures. So lots of potential. I believe that all these structures are shown in this erosional window. I believe they'll reoccur, or there'll be more of them over here, but they're all covered by younger rock. So it's long-term potential of the project. I see this project as being able to produce for many, many years. In fact, 20, 30, 40, 50 years or more as we continue to get exploration success. Moving on, well, let's go back first. I'm going to show you this major structure that we've drilled on. The next slide is a longitudinal section through that structure. Shows you what the ore bodies look like underground. So where they are outlined in this sort of a blue teal color, that's a reserve. Where there's no outline, those are resources. We have a lot of infill drilling in order to bring some of these resources into a reserve category. This area in here, we couldn't drill because there's too much overlying cover. However, we have drifted in on underground mining and accessing ore within the zones we know of. We've gone 200 meters past the last known drill hole, and we're still in mineralization all the way along. So these two zones are going to connect up. We're going to be able to drill this area from underground, and I believe we'll bring in another third, at least, to the resources we've already outlined. We're open to depth. We haven't found the limits of these ore bodies. We're open to the south, and we're open to the north. And so that it just shows you lots and lots of exploration potential, even on the one structure we've drilled, let alone the other structures I just showed you in the previous slide. Moving on, now a little bit about Campo Morado. So Campo Morado is an operating mine, and we're primarily producing zinc at this point in time. This is the mill. This is an existing tailings facility that's now full and no longer being used. This presents an opportunity to reprocess, to recover a lot of the precious metals in here. I'll talk a bit more about that in a few slides. Camp over here, office up in here. Moving on, here's the summary. So Campo Morado has at least 7 zones containing volcanogenic massive sulfide mineralization. We're currently processing around 2,200 tons per day, and we declared commercial production in May 2018. And we had a small shutdown in August 2019 for 6 months. Restarted operations. We've been producing continuously since then, producing over 30 million pounds of zinc annually. And our resources, M&I resources at 16.6 million tons at 1.7 grams per ton gold, 123 silver, 4% zinc, and some copper and lead. Now these precious metal grades are quite high for a volcanogenic massive sulfide. We've got some difficulties in recovering at the moment. We hope to improve that with our metallurgical testing. So these resources present a 20-year mine life. We are currently producing around 90 cents for all-in sustaining costs on the project in Q1 2021. And in Q1 2022, we were 70 cents a pound cash costs, C1 cash costs, which are project costs. We're averaging $2.2 million positive EBITDA on a monthly basis through the beginning of 2021. The project's running very well for us right now, and metal prices are cooperating. A few photographs. This is the crushing area. This was a tailings expansion. We put several more years life on the tailings that we're now currently using. This is the mill. I draw your attention to these yellow flotation cells here. This is the circuit that is available to increase production by 1,000 tons per day. That was, I'll talk again a bit more about that in a minute. Moving on. So Campo Morado's had strong production growth over the last several quarters. So in 2020 up to Q2 2021, we've been steadily increasing our revenues. We're up to 16.2 million revenues for Q2 2021. Production ore processed has been steadily up. However, we were down a little bit in Q2, but our revenue is way up. And that's because of better precious metal recoveries as well as better sale prices for the metals. And concentrate production, steady growth in our concentrate production. We're probably going to be topping out around this area here, but we're still having a very profitable situation at Campo Morado at this point in time. So where do we see growth opportunities at Campo Morado? We have several of them. So that yellow flotation circuit I just showed you, that presents the ability to move the project up from current production of 2,000 tons per day to 3,000 tons per day. That expansion was 80% built when the former operator shut the mine down, so we got the benefit of all of that equipment. We're investigating the possibility of bringing that on stream to increase production by 1,000 tons per day. We could probably fund that from cash flows. We would need to do an updated engineering study. We're planning that for Q3 2021 and potentially bring that online in Q1 2022. However, there may be a better way to increase our production. We have recently brought on site a pneumatic flotation pilot plant. This is called an IMAFLOT flotation pilot plant. This is designed to make recoveries better from microfine grinding of ore. Our project, the metallurgy, is a bit difficult. We have to go down to a very fine grind, and flotation cells don't do a good job of recovering ultrafine ground metal or ore. So this pneumatic flotation, one of several different technologies that do this, should help us increase our recovery. So that is on site, it's set up, and we're now testing. We have a 3-month extensive metallurgical test program through that, and we're going to be testing several things. We're going to be testing to increase base metal recoveries initially with microfine grinding, and then we're going to be seeing if we can produce a pyrite concentrate that is gold rich and be able to sell that. If that's not successful, we'll investigate or push through testing on a second phase for investigating the possibility of a forced oxidation and leaching of the tailings from the project. That was tested earlier on by the previous operators. They did leach ox process testing as well as Albion process testing. And both of those technologies really increased their precious metal recoveries in testing through first phase. So in first phase testing, they increased precious metal recoveries for gold by 65%. Up to 400% increase, and for silver up to 81%, which is 200% increase. So we have been recovering about 15% of the gold and about 30 to 40% of the silver up to about a month and a half ago when we're starting to increase that. So we're currently recovering about 25% of the gold and up to 40, 45, sometimes 50% of the silver. And those are increases just from our traditional flotation cells. We expect this testing through this new pneumatic pilot plant to do a lot better and provide us a pathway to increase recoveries across the board. If this leach ox testing or the Albion testing second phase is successful, then we have a pathway to reprocess the existing tailings and potentially have a recovery of gold and silver and even base metals out of those tailings if that technology is successful. There's about 280,000 ounces of gold equivalent with just gold and silver in those tailings, and that's calculated from the daily production records in the history of the mine. This is not independently verified and it's not 43-101 compliant. However, production of the tailings, all of the grades of the tailings and tonnages of the tailings is recorded on a daily basis. So we have a pretty good idea what we think is there. In order to bring that compliant, we would have to do a sonic drill program across the tailings and prove that that metal is in those tailings. However, a very good chance there is, and if this technology is successful in leach-ox or Albion testing, then we have a pathway to reprocess that. And we would see that as potentially coming on stream in 2022, early 2022, if our testing goes the way we hope it will. We also have near-term growth potential. There's lots of targets already outlined on surface and within the underground mine workings that could be drilled and bring in new resources and reserves. So if we were successful with an exploration program, we could potentially double our resources at this mine and justify an expansion of maybe up to double of what we are producing now. So maybe take this project to 5,000 tons. Now that's a long-term goal and it needs exploration success. And as soon as we're healthy enough to get the exploration underway, then we're going to give that a try to see whether we can meet that goal. Talk a little bit about the exploration potential at Campo Morado. So there's numerous targets ready to drill. This is the existing ore bodies that we know of. There's several of them. These are large ore bodies that we're currently mining. This El Largo zone in brown here. We're going to move to this green Naranjo zone. And Naranjo North, likely early next year. But underneath these ore bodies, near Star, the previous owners had drilled several holes into underneath the southwest zone and intersected very good intersections of massive sulfide. So there are potentially other zones underneath here that need to be followed up and drilled out. And this up here represents a borehole geophysical results, a program they ran, and they outlined large anomalies underneath the existing anomalies. To locate them, that's the El Largo. This is El Largo here. So these large anomalies occur down in these areas in here. And this one over here is underneath this El Rey area. So those all need to be drill tested to see whether we can find new ore bodies. We're confident that there's other horizons or other pods of massive sulfide mineralization under the existing ones that are available for discovery. Moving on to the project scale, the previous owners had conducted a lot of property-wide work. It's a regional property scale basis. They developed numerous targets that are all drill ready. There's over 16 drill ready targets. They just need to be located, drill tested, and any one of those could bring in new massive sulfide ore bodies as well. So once again, we have lots of exploration targets on both our projects to expand resources and reserves once we're healthy enough to start drilling. So we've got a lot of news coming to the market. So upcoming milestones, we've checked these two off. We've brought out our Q2 production and we've closed our finding for TAHUEHUETO. We have a pre-feasibility study we're going to bring to market probably in August or September. Metallurgical test results from the pilot plant that I explained, 3 months to 4 months of extensive test work underway. In Q4 2021, we'll be doing engineering work to expand production at Campo Morado based on that pilot plant success. And initial production of 500 tons a day commences at TAHUEHUETO near the end of this year. We expect to finalize the metallurgical testing in Campo Morado to determine the technologies that we want to implement on the project, assuming success of those metallurgical testing programs. And then we're hoping to put a pre-feasibility study together in Q4 of 2021. That depends on our success on the metallurgical testing. We need to understand our recoveries better than we do at the moment to get a long-term life of mine plan and a pre-feasibility study for Campo Morado. In 2022, hopefully complete expansion of the plant at TAHUEHUETO. We should be up to 1,000 tons per day near the end of Q1 2022. Commercial production announcement at mid-2022 at TAHUEHUETO. And hopefully install the successful metallurgical technologies at Campo Morado to increase our revenues there, and then increase production throughput by either completing that construction of the flotation expansion or installation of the new flotation technologies based on success of the metallurgical program. Either way, we expect to really increase our revenues at Campo Morado throughout the rest of this year and into 2022. Looking at the capital market side of our company, our current share price is in the neighborhood of 60 cents, 65 cents a share. Our high low, 11 cents to 80 cents. Shares outstanding, 252 million, almost 253, with options and warrants. We have a fully diluted company at 331 million shares. Market capitalization around the 160 to 170 million. Cash on hand, this is more or less correct. We're obviously spending money on the construction. We assume we have $9 million on hand and drawing down money from our Ascendo Banco upon progress of the project. We have loan debt of $32.7 million, which gives us an enterprise value of just under 200 million US. So we're poised for a re-rating. We expect to be rated as a precious metal producer once TAHUEHUETO comes on stream. Next slide gives you an idea of our shareholder base. So management and board of directors control about 33% of the stock. What we term close associates of management of their 12. Institutions, 22%. They're listed over here. And then a public float of about 33%. So we believe we have a compelling valuation and re-rating opportunity. This is a peer comparison slide. So ATLY over here at about 2.7 times enterprise value over EBITDA. Mexican polymetallic producers is who would be our main competitors at the moment. You can see we have a lot of room for growth to try to catch up to some of these other groups, Vino, Endeavor, Silver, Gold. So we hope to be growing towards that. And even on the precious metal side, as we will be re-rated a precious metal producer, we still have a lot of room for growth at 2.7. That puts us in this area in here. You can see lots of growth potential as we realize our goals. Now, our company is very much committed to social responsibility, both environmental, social, and governance. On the environmental side of things, we're investigating the possibility of installing some solar panel energy to supplement power at Campo Morado. And that would be a small portion of the power we use there, but it could help us reduce our cost and make that project a little more green. Campo Morado is actually connected to the national grid for power, but if we can produce some of our own, we could reduce our costs. At TAHUEHUETO, this is a remote project, so we'll be generating power, and we've got a group that's going to operate and build the power plant for us, and that will be a gas-fired turbines power generation, a lot cleaner energy than diesel, and in fact, will save us money. Diesel would be more expensive both at cost and maintenance. Gas-powered generators are much cleaner for the energy and much less expensive to run. On the social side of things, we have strong social guidance for our local people. At Campo Morado, we have training programs. We hire locally as much as possible from both our projects. Training programs in place to train people to be miners and other various support personnel for the project. At TAHUEHUETO, because this is a remote area and sparsely populated, we have really helped out the local community by improving their water, improving their sanitation, and employment. They've worked with us throughout the exploration phase and now working with us in the construction, and will continue to work with us once we get into production. And on the corporate governance side of the company, we've implemented strong corporate governance procedures that's been largely put forward by the new directors that have come on the company. So that is continuing to be developed and working hard to get us up to proper corporate governance procedures, and we're there now. So, sort of summing things up, what we believe ATLY Mining presents a great opportunity. We're Mexico's next mid-tier diversified producer with one mine in production, the other mine being constructed now. We're stable, growing cash flow from Campo Morado, emerging multi-mine producer once Campo Morado or once TAHUEHUETO goes into production. We're fully funded for that construction at TAHUEHUETO, and Campo Morado is cash positive. We're making decent money on Campo Morado at this point in time. We have a large resource base at both our projects, great exploration potential at both our projects, proven management and board of directors, which has recently been strengthened, and a re-rating opportunity looking ahead for us. So, and that's really shows, in my opinion, a great company that's under good, strong growth. And I think it presents a great opportunity for someone to invest and hopefully join us in our goals and our way to get the project and the company substantially grown from where it is. And that is my presentation for the day. Thank you very much for listening. And I think that we'll open the floor to questions.
Yeah, thank you, Ralph. If you are interested in asking a question or are logged into the Zoom, you can submit your questions to us directly in the Q&A or chat mode. We will now take a moment to develop the queue. Thank you. All right, so what is the likelihood of processing the tailing? And the second question to that, potential annual production from them?
So in my opinion, I think we have a good, strong pathway to get this technology to the point of allowing us to reprocess those tailings. There's several technologies we've been investigating, and it looks like this imaflot flotation should be able to allow us to go to a microfine grind of the tailings, or a regrind of the tailings, and liberate more metal and potentially recover some of the base metals within those tailings. There's a considerable amount of base metals, about 0.4% copper and like 0.9% zinc. So we might be able to get a little bit of that. But the more interesting and profitable situation is recovering the substantial amount of gold and silver out of those existing tailings facilities, and not just there, within the fresh ore that we'll be producing on an ongoing basis. And that really needs this testing to advance to the point of being able to make either a pyrite concentrate that we could either force oxidize and leach, or take the tailings and force oxidize those and leach the tailings after recovering the base metals. So we expect and hope, we can't guarantee that until this testing is done, but we believe we have a pathway that can help us reprocess those tailings at a very low cost. All it is a regrind and use the technology that proves out to be the best with this testing. And I want to make the point is that that testing that we're doing and the technology that comes behind that could certainly help us with the ongoing operation of the fresh ore that we're mining on a daily basis. We hope we can really increase the precious metal recoveries based on that new technology, as well as the base metal recoveries from the microfine grinding and pneumatic flotation methods that we should be able to employ. Again, it all needs to be fully tested and proven up, but that is underway, and we expect those results to be coming in on a regular basis over the next 3 to 4 months. And then after we're finished that pilot plant testing, we'll have what we would hope to be a pathway that we can show our investors in the markets of where we're going to really make Campo Morado a much more profitable situation.
What is the most difficult issue the company is dealing with currently?
Well, I guess that's probably a question that's being put towards risk. What are the risks of the company? So, right now, we're in Mexico. Mexico is a good jurisdiction to be mining in. There are certain security risks that all companies have to deal with down there. And, for example, Campo Morado is located in the state of Guerrero, which is known as a bit of a tough state to work in. We've had some past issues there, but we have effectively managed those, and we're operating continuously and have good support from the local communities to continue to operate at Campo Morado. At TAHUEHUETO, the security situation there is much more, well, it's better. It's more easy to work in Durango. We've never had any issues in all of the time we have explored and developed our TAHUEHUETO project. So we do not anticipate any real difficulties there. So I think that security risk is managed. We effectively manage it. There's certainly more risk in Guerrero than there is in Durango. However, we've been working successfully there and expect to continue to do so. The next risk I would have to say is obviously metal prices. Base metal prices, more than the precious metal prices. I believe we're in a fairly strong precious metal environment for the foreseeable future. As a zinc producer at Campo Morado, zinc prices are, they fluctuate quite a bit. Right now, we're in a very good zinc price environment, and that is helping us make a lot of money. But I believe if we can increase our precious metal recoveries at Campo Morado, in fact, I think there's a pathway to turning Campo Morado into a silver mine due to the high content of silver within the ore bodies outlined so far, that I believe we can really make Campo Morado much more profitable and less dependent on base metals with the success in precious metal recoveries. And, I guess the last risk we have would be the market itself. Where's the market going? What is the mining market? As long as investors are confident that the mining market is good, which I believe we're in the beginnings of a fairly good, strong bull run in mining. I think we're well positioned to take advantage of that if it occurs the way we believe it will. I hope that answers that question. Any other questions, Paul?
Yeah, if anybody does have a question, please submit your questions to us through the chat. I will be moving on to the next question. Any plans on expanding drilling at potential new targets?
Well, yeah, I mean, we would love to get this project, both our projects explored. We would like to get our drills turning. At this point, we're really restricted from our cash flows. All of the money we raised is dedicated to build a project, so we can't really take any of that money and start exploration. At Campo Morado, we're paying down quite a bit of debt there, so we don't have any free cash to commence exploration yet. We have got a plan to drill about 12 holes underground in Campo Morado to give more information for one area that we're planning on mining, but that would be limited to our exploration drilling programs would be limited to that for this point in time, unless we went to the market and raised money to actually get exploration going. At this point in time, we don't plan on doing that. Maybe later this fall, if the markets are more robust and we've made more success at Campo Morado in paying down our debt, and then we have TAHUEHUETO closer to production, that we might go to the market to raise some money to get some exploration going on both of the projects. But I think we would start out first at TAHUEHUETO. That one would, any exploration success there could translate into a larger operation much more quickly than Campo Morado, unless, again, our metallurgical testing at Campo Morado bears fruit and works out the way we hope it will. So no exploration for the foreseeable months ahead, maybe late this year, and certainly next year we would be hoping to get there and get the drills turning.
So unless anybody else has questions for us, I'm going to ask the last one here. Can you please provide your current cash position, burn rate, and financing plans?
Okay, so our cash position right now is in the neighborhood of $9 to $10 million. Our burn rate is at TAHUEHUETO. We're in construction there, so the burn rate is fairly fast. If you're looking at corporate burn rate, we are cash flows from Campo Morado are taking care of the burn rate of the company. So we're not using any of the financing we just raised to sustain company operations or corporate operations. We're really living off of the Campo Morado cash flows. So I don't have a figure for the burn rate. If you add in the construction at TAHUEHUETO, we're going to be spending another $11 million in the next 4, 5, 6 months to get that project up to speed and into operation. At Campo Morado, it's self-sustaining and cash flows are meeting all of the costs of running the Campo Morado project.
Okay, thanks, Ralph, and thanks everyone for joining us today's webinar. Again, today's webinar recording will soon be made available on ATLY's website. If you have any additional questions that have not been addressed on this webinar, please feel free to email us at ATLY@rbmilestone.com. Again, that's ATLY@rbmilestone.com. Thanks again, all. You're now free to disconnect.
Thank you, everybody, for listening, and good luck. Bye-bye.